Today we're going to begin our study of Chapter 3, which is about Mesopotamia and the Fertile Crescent. Notice how I'm going to navigate at the bottom because you will be coming back here to watch your videos instead of me posting them in your Google Slides for your daily assignments. This way I can make sure that the videos will work for you. So to get to each section, you click on the dots at the bottom, and now you have the beginning, the songs and raps. This will be lesson 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, and 3.4. So the songs and raps are at the very beginning. That's something that you can scroll through yourself. But today we're going to deal with lesson 3.1, which is Geography of the Fertile Crescent. And as always, you'll do your quizzes after you have done your EM page that goes along with this lesson. So the big idea, the valleys of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers were the site of the world's first civilizations. The two main ideas, the rivers of Southwest Asia supported the growth of civilizations, and new farming techniques led to the growth of cities. This is one of the videos that you will come back and watch, and all you'll have to do is click on play and it should begin for you. So our first main idea. We have two rivers that we're going to discuss with talking about Mesopotamia, the Tigris and the Euphrates, and they are the most important physical features of this whole entire region that's known as Mesopotamia. The farm settlements in Mesopotamia eventually developed into civilizations. So if you'll remember back in the chapter that we just finished, chapter 2, we still had nomads. They were roaming around, kind of like deer go there, I go there. They were hunter-gatherers, and then agriculture came along, and they figured out how to plant and get a yield from that so they would have food, which caused them to settle down. So Mesopotamia is the first civilization that we are aware of. Mesopotamia means between the rivers in Greek, and it's part of a larger area of rich farmland called the Fertile Crescent. And it's shaped like a crescent. And because it's fertile, they can grow things, which food is necessary for survival. Remember, no longer roaming around, no longer nomads. This is very important. Mesopotamia was divided into two regions in ancient times. You had northern Mesopotamia and you had southern Mesopotamia. And on the map, you can see in green all the area that would be considered as Mesopotamia. Here's the Tigris River and the Euphrates River. And you can tell it's surrounded by mountains, the desert. These are all important geographical features. Oh, and the sea and the Gulf on the other sides, because it's very hard for people to get in. So not as many invaders. They were kind of protected. And if you'll notice, here is Africa, and here would be where Egypt is, the Nile River. So the Tigris and the Euphrates rivers, they flooded annually, which means they flooded every year. They brought silt. That was this rich, fertile soil that made the land ideal for farming. It is a mixture of rich soil and tiny rocks. So now they have this wonderful soil to grow things in due to the floods. We typically think of floods as being a bad thing, and it can be. But it also is what brought life to the Fertile Crescent. So this led to plentiful food, which led to a population growth, which led to the formation of villages. And then, as we talked about earlier, the villages later developed into the world's first civilizations. So some new farming techniques that arose during this time would have been irrigation and canals. Irrigation, of course, is getting water to your crops, and canals would be something that would be man-made as a way to control the river flow. So this increased the amounts of food, which led to surpluses. So now we're getting to a point to where we're no longer surviving. So we've come a long ways from being hunter-gatherers, nomadic society, to being settled down in one place, growing our own food, and now we have a surplus. So now we don't need as many people to farm. So up to this point, it was all about survival. And now we're getting to the point of where we can live and enjoy a little bit. So as a result of not needing as many farmers, we have new occupations that are developed during this time. So we had just talked about the controlling of the water levels of the Tigris and the Euphrates. They would rise and fall just like rivers today. That would depend on the amount of rainfall, and the irrigation in the canals would help solve the flooding and even drought problems. We still experience droughts to this day. It was no different back in ancient times. And as I mentioned before, canals are human-made waterways, and it's simply a way of supplying water to an area of land that needs it. Farmers would also build up the banks of rivers, kind of like to form a dam, to hold the floodwaters back. So the farming techniques that were invented, the irrigation, increased the amount of food farmers produced. We just said it caused a food surplus, which is more than they needed to survive. So now they can store up. So again, no longer just surviving, they can really start living and enjoying life a little bit. So this need for fewer people to farm led for other roles and jobs. This is called division of labor. And this is when workers specialize in a particular task. So now they can start making pottery and things in that nature rather than just everyone being out farming trying to survive. Large projects were undertaken, which led for the need for structure and rules. Think about as the society grows, if you don't have any rules, you have total chaos. And we will discuss that more as we get deeper into the study in this chapter. So the settlements during this time of Mesopotamia, which is in the Fertile Crescent, grew in size, which eventually created cities between the years of 4000 and 3000 BC, which, remember, is kind of the old saying of before Christ, but now it's called BCE, before Common Era. This concludes our study of Lesson 3.1. We will pick up the next time with 3.2, which is the rise of Sumer.